What does advocacy mean? Advocacy is, it can be a little bit intimidating, the word, but really what it amounts to is building relationships, making sure the association is in position to influence policy and also to serve our elected officials and community.
You know, we've always known that advocacy is an important part of our mission statement for BOMA, and we take it very seriously.
We call it advocacy, but most of the time we're just teaching the policymakers and the regulators what it is that their ideas will mean in the real world.
As BOMA has evolved over the last 100 years, so has its voice. A voice that has come to promote growth and protect the rights of the entire commercial real estate community. BOMA discovered that voice by developing strong relationships at every level of government and ultimately establishing a reputation for addressing the issues that matter most to the industry.
If you look at BOMA's mission statement, advocacy is one of the 5 tenets, and I would say that that makes a lot of sense. I mean, owners spend millions of dollars on their buildings, and they wanted a return on their investment, and legislation can have a lot to do with that.
Advocacy, I think, is first and foremost just getting involved, but it's actually presenting yourself as a partner to the legislators.
It can be as little as sending an email or making a phone call, or just, in the case of the Government Affairs Committee, monitoring a situation.
As is the nature of successful grassroots movements, BOMA's priority on government advocacy gained momentum due to the growing need for representation on issues affecting the commercial real estate industry. This momentum was generated by collaboration between BOMA members and then Executive Director Stuart Huey.
BOMA was in the early days of putting together their government affairs program, and they were run largely by volunteers. I worked side by side with Stuart Huey and some of the actual members of BOMA to work on issues of mutual concern at the local level.
Stuart Huey met Hayden Stanley about the time I was president, and then we started to get him involved in some of our advisory capacity issues, and he's really the one that helped us really get it off the ground and running.
The committee has grown really in many ways. First of all, we've been able to deepen relationships with existing elected officials, folks that we had worked with and known for some time, and we've gotten more comfortable with forming new relationships with elected officials.
And as BOMA enters its 2nd century, members will see more opportunities to impact legislation and advance industry interests.
As far as BOMA and looking into the future and what the issues might be there, certainly I think we can see the seeds of some of those issues. I mean, water is going to be a huge issue.
Transportation and water. Those are the 2 main issues that I see. People ask, should we conserve or should we expand? You know, everything. We should do everything we can.
We are constantly looking at issues that are going through the legislature that affect building managers in various different ways. One of them is environmental sustainability. Over the years, that has been a huge issue.
But what we've seen over the last couple of years, and I really believe this is where we're going to be moving in the future, is BOMA's taken a much broader view on issues such as traffic congestion, traffic funding, other economic development issues that impact directly the environment that BOMA operates.
It always comes down to those key things: how we treat the property, how we treat our tenants, and what kind of access they have. If they can get around via smooth transportation, if they've got confidence in the infrastructure, if the amenities are there, if the tax policy is there to support their businesses, I'm sure we'll continue to prosper well into the future.
BOMA's advocacy leaders have always sought effective ways to connect with Georgia's legislative body. One of the most innovative approaches was the creation of BOMA Day at the Capitol.
BOMA Day at the Capitol really was started as an opportunity for us members of BOMA, not just the legislative committee, to come down and meet our legislators and meet the folks who pass the laws, for us to talk to them about what's the basis of it and explain how it makes sense to us and really have some direct face-to-face feedback with them.
And the fact that it started out with a handful of people, and now this year when we have BOMA Day at the Capitol, we have 30, 40 people. And not only is it there to educate legislators now, it also is there to educate members, which I think that's a big plus, that more people are interested in advocacy.
Through BOMA Georgia's government advocacy efforts, significant legislative progress has been realized. Property rights have been maintained. Proactive measures have been taken to improve transportation. Process has been improved and codes better defined. Bottom lines have been protected. And most importantly, BOMA has established itself as a resource for lawmakers when help is needed writing, interpreting, or changing legislation.
We have the good fortune of being part of an association that is filled with talented people who have a broad range of experiences and really do have a lot to offer. And so we can answer questions as policy is being formed up about just about anything. So really, advocacy is relationship building 101.
Government advocacy has always been a part of the fabric of BOMA. Even from the early years, we can see that our members are focused on issues of economic development and codes compliance. And while the methods of communicating these issues to our elected officials may have evolved over the years, we clearly see that we're an organization that continues to focus on the interest of the commercial real estate industry. Now that we're BOMA Georgia, the issues are a little bit more complex as we look at the entire state and issues of transportation and water and energy. But one thing remains the same. BOMA will continue to lead the industry forward, making the best decisions for our community.